Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture, just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen, we are on a roll here. Listen, we're about to review episode 3 and episode 4 of Kings of Nappa. Episode 3 entitled What's Port Got to Do With It, and episode 4 entitled Dear Wine People. So as we left, well, just a recap of the first and second episode. Reginald King passed away of a heart attack. He left his winery and winery business to his family, which is his wife Vanessa, his eldest son Dana, his middle child and only daughter, August, and his baby boy Christian. Excuse me. We find out at the will reading that he left Dana as the CFO, the chief financial officer, and he's left August as the director or the president of the company. Dana thought that was supposed to be his role as well, and him and his wife at the beginning are plotting for Dana to take control of the business. While we were at the will reading, we find out that, number one, Reginald was sleeping with his wife's sister, and the child that his wife's sister had is actually his daughter. Upon finding out that information, the wife, Vanessa, gets real upset, and she fires Bridget from the winery. She kicks her out. We also find out that Reginald didn't have a one-night stand with this woman. Reginald was having an ongoing affair with this sister. So I'm side-eyeing the sister a lot. She is my new Taylor. I'm side-eyeing her, because I don't like that. But anyway, that's just me. So as we get into season, I will probably be saying season when I mean episode. So please forgive me, child, because this be so bad. So I got my notes. In our Wednesday upload, I will have episode 5. So we will be on track. So our Wednesday upload is looking like episode 5 of Kings of Nappa. And I think episode 11 or 12 of Queens. Gotta find me something for the Sunday episode upload, because we've lost And Just Like That. So I did say after doing that episode that I'm going to be reviewing a movie. So I was on Instagram. And one of the people that I followed had asked what black cinematic movie that you hadn't seen that would possibly get your black card revoked. And I've never seen Harlem Nights, and I've never seen Belly. So I may just review those older movies for Black History Month. I'm not sure. There were a couple of other movies that I had never seen before. I've seen, I haven't seen Belly, and I haven't seen, I haven't watched, Harlem Nights. I haven't watched, what is that movie? It was a Marlon Wayans movie. Something about your juice in South Central or something like that. It was a comedy. I hadn't watched that. But I think I've watched pretty much everything else. But I may watch Harlem Nights, because everyone seems to love Harlem Nights. Which starred Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall and, what's her name? Ooh, the woman, the Highway to Heaven woman. I can't think of her name. It was Red Fox. And all of them are in that movie. I have not watched that movie, so I may watch that as a watch along and just see how that works out. Don't hold me to it, but that's pretty much a plan that I'm looking at. So anyway, let's get into episode 3. It starts off basically with August trying to woo uh, one of the most famous black women wine blend makers. Her name is Grace. She wanted her to make the dessert wine because, as you remember back from the episode 1 and 2, August is the person that makes up gets all the ideas. So she is trying to get this dessert wine kicked off because she believes that if they can get this dessert wine, that they can send the winery up into the next stratosphere, because they have reds, they have whites, but they don't have like a dessert blend, like I'm not gonna say a Moscato, but like a nice dessert white blend. That might be good. She woos Grace, and when she does that, Dana gets upset because he says that Grace is just too expensive. However, he hires another winemaker who is a little cheaper, and he's a little up and coming. And so in Dana's mind, he's wanting to do this dessert wine, but he wants to do it at a cheaper rate to kind of just get the basic people to get the wine. August's mind is they have wines that have been featured in some of the real top tier magazines, and they have been featured in a lot of different just high quality. They've always been known for their high quality of wine, and she's wanting to do that to get them in that stratosphere. But Dana wants to take the cheap route. He wants to make that cheap money and take the cheap route. So he has hired someone who can make that blend. So what inevitably happens is that both of them decide they're going to keep their winemaker, and they're going to let the board decide which wine is what the winery is going to go for. Which I thought was a great idea. But Dana he was just a little funny because he was so worried about money, but yet he's going to hire Grace, and he's going to hire this other one. So we're going to see how this works out. August is dating this married lawyer. You remember in my review of the first or the second episode, there was a lady that came to August and Bridget's table. That's his wife. So August goes out on a date with him. And I don't really know exactly what's going to happen for this. However, while she's out on the date with him, the blackmailer calls. And the blackmailer is really watching August and her family. Now, at this point, Dana, Bridget, and August know about the blackmailer. No one else at this time knows about the blackmailer. They have already paid this blackmailer $100,000, and their payment is due up in 2 weeks. So Dana and August hired a PI to look into whoever is doing this blackmailing. In the meantime, you have Bridget is looking for a new job, and she is doing an interview at another winery called Sean and Sean. So it's Sean, S-E-A-N, with Sean, S-H-A-W-N. I thought that was cute. And that's a cute little wine name, Sean and Sean Wineries. So she's over there interviewing, and she gets the job. As she's sitting there, she discovers that they're being blackmailed as well. So as we go on, we have Vanessa, who is grieving the loss of her husband and having to find out that her sister had been sleeping with her husband, and that her sister had allowed her husband to borrow $10 million of her dollars. Now, let me just tell y'all this. I'm not here for Melanie, but I will tell you this. If I was Melanie, I'll go ahead and get my $10 million right now, because the deal that August made with the attorney was that she was going to accept some payments, and that her daughter was going to be working at the winery. Once they reneged on that deal, I will be wanting my $10 million up front. I'm just letting y'all know. I don't agree with what Melanie did. I don't agree with how Melanie did it, but money is money, and I want my money right now. Anyway. So Vanessa is upset. She's still grieving and she's acting fragile. And which is understandable because her husband just died. She has learned some information that she did not know or was not aware. She had really, she wanted a family. So she decided to forgo her career to help with the winery. And she is the person that does the tours and have people to come out to the winery. So she is doing something. She's in her career, but she's not at the level of what she wanted to do in her career. So I can understand that. But she went to go talk to her sister Melanie at her home. And she found out that her sister wasn't at home. So that woman breaks into her home, going through her computer to find out some information. And, seek and ye shall find. So she finds pictures and things like that of her husband at the beach with Melanie and Bridget when Bridget looked to be like 2 or 3, and there was some other pictures and things like that. And so she was understandably upset. However, Melanie comes home, and Reginald's sister. Now, I don't know if I told y'all, but back in episode 1, when she found out that that her sister Melanie, when Vanessa found out that her sister was going with Reginald, she asked Reginald's sister, I think it's Yvette. I think her name is Yvette. She asked her, did she know about it? And Yvette lied. Now, let's talk about Yvette. Yvette apparently is everyone's confidant. Everyone can come and talk to Yvette about things. So Yvette is the vessel of information, but she only partakes or dishes out the information as needed. Well, Yvette told Vanessa that she was on her side and she didn't know anything about it, but she did. She's actually known since the beginning because her brother confided in her to know. Which I don't know why Vanessa didn't think that would happen, because he's her sister. I mean, Yvette is Reginald's sister. She's, I don't know why she didn't think that she would keep that information under wraps. I don't know why. But Vanessa didn't believe that she should. So Melanie and Yvette came back from shopping and they were talking about everything. And Yvette was telling her, you shouldn't have told everything. You shouldn't have said anything. And Melanie was like, well, wasn't going to say anything, but you know how Vanessa is. And honey, Vanessa was in that closet and she heard everything and she was fuming. Do you hear me? She was fuming. They leave and Vanessa gets out of the closet. She goes to the house. Now, I'm not telling you all this information in order. I'm just reviewing what I saw. When Vanessa gets home, she has this quote-unquote family dinner. She invites Yvette to this family dinner. And baby, she tells Yvette that I knew that I was in the closet when you was talking to Melanie. You lied and you said you didn't know anything. So she kicks Yvette out of the home. So Yvette was like pleading her case. She was like, wait a minute. You're going to kick me out, but I've kept your secrets as well. I didn't tell anybody that you wanted to abort Dana. And baby, Dana came back into the room and heard this, honey. He was clearly upset. She had basically told all the information. So Dana was upset because he found out that he was going to be aborted. Let's see. The blackmailer has his suspects of who he thinks is the person doing the blackmailing. And he has narrowed it down to Otis and a couple of other people. It was 3 other people. But he's ruled out 2. And now he's got Otis and 1 more person. I'm trying to think. So Dana and August are going around to all the board members trying to smooge and rouge them to vote for their wines. Dana goes to his, they find out that Bridget, that Reginald left Bridget his vote. So Bridget is the vote, is also on the board, and so her vote counts. What do we say? What do we say? What do we say? Yeah. Let me see. There was something. Okay. Bridget did get the job at Sean and Sean because she was environmentally friendly and she did get the job from Sean and Sean. So they had the wine tasting. So the board meets and they decide to have the wine testing. So I failed to mention earlier that Dana was talking to his wife about it. And so his wife, who is House of Kings publicist, she was asking him, like, what is it that you want this wine to do? And he was just like, it's going to be cheaper and you're just going to vote for it and we're just going to go for that. Bridget had a conversation Dana's wife had a conversation with Bridget, and Bridget just basically told her, Dana's wife told Bridget that she was upset. I'm going to get Dana's wife's name, and so I won't have to say that, keep calling her Dana's wife. But anyway, she sat down and she was talking with Bridget because apparently Dana's wife and Bridget are good friends. Along with August, they're good friends. So she was explaining to Bridget that she was upset that Dana wasn't listening to her and listening to her ideas and all those different things. And Bridget just told her, she says, you need to stand your ground. Vote your conscience and stand your ground. So we come to the wine tasting. So August presents what Grace has done. Half of them like it. And then half of them like what Dana has done. Now, the people who have liked what Dana has done are only liking it because his mother voted for Dana because she wanted to reassure him about that she loved him even though she did contemplate aborting him. I think Yvette, but it was half and half. It was half and half. However, there was a deciding vote. And Dana had thought he won. He thought he won because he just assumed that he had his wife's vote. And so when they asked her, and everybody assumed that she was voting for Dana. But baby, when they asked her, she said no. She said because she told Dana, well, when I asked you about this, you wouldn't talk to me. You brushed me off. But as I'm tasting these wines, we shouldn't do the cheap wine. Because of the fact that we have been publicized in all of these we have won awards and stuff for our wine, and it would be a kick to our brand if we put out something cheap like this. So she votes against her husband, and boy, Dana is mad as fire. Mad as fire. Mad as fire. We also learned, too, that Dana's wife is bisexual. So I don't know if she might be having because her and Bridget seemed like they were close. I don't know if they're going to have a tete-a-tete or not. But they made it a point to let us know. And they made it a point to let us see her and Bridget being very good friends. So I don't know, child. It might be a little tete-a-tete. But but Dana, that little man is mad as fire. He's mad at August because she won. And so therefore he told the private investigator that he wanted him to investigate August so he has something to use against her. So baby, that's how episode 3 ended. So let's move on to Dear Wine People. See what's going on now. When Dear Wine People started, there was this flashback of Dana going to this interview. I didn't understand the significance, but the significance is at the end. Dana and Melanie, Melanie is his aunt, they have lunch, and Melanie is bigging him up, and you're good, and you're a good organizer and CFO, and you've got ideas. So Dana arranges for Melanie arranges for Dana to be interviewed by this Black Business magazine, and so he's excited about it. They're going to come and do a photo shoot and all this other stuff. So he's excited about that, but he's pushing that in his mom's face because his mom had told him in the last episode, well, he found out that his mom was wanting to abort him. So he is very upset with his mom. Instead of having a conversation, he's acting out. August has lunch with her family, and they've decided that they were going to name the dessert wine King's Heritage. Um, as I talked about in the second episode, when Bridget was fired from the winery, they gave Christian that job. And so Christian was out in the wine fields with, I guess, a stripper bottle girl that he met at the club. He was impressing her, letting her know that his family owns the wine. Otis came around the vines and saw that going on, and he was like, people are out here working. You need to be working. He snapped at him. The girl says, I don't like how she talked to him. He's like, that's all right. He know I'm the boss. But he was feeling some kind of way. He has been calling Bridget to try to get to get some more information about what he should do. Bridget finally talked to him. She says, well, you have to let them know that you're on their side and that you're willing to work. Child, that guy, Christian decides that he is going to, because, back in the first episode, you learned that Christian was a owner of a bourbon company. He has his own bourbon, so he decides to do a bourbon test with the staff, and he brings them food and stuff like that. Otis snaps again because he's like, listen, you can have these people out here drunk under the wines and stuff like that. And so Christian's a little upset, but he's also calling Bridget. He keeps calling Bridget because he wants to know about the wines and the grapes, and when to pick the grapes, when to do the grapes, and all this other stuff. Dana has his photo shoot. He's excited. Him and his wife had words, and Dana hurts her feelings, and so she walks away. The private investigator comes and tells Dana that he has basically dirt on him, and he has dirt on August. He basically tells Dana that he believes that it is Otis the one, because Otis is also working at Sean and Sean. Sean and Sean meet with August and Dana and all them and Bridget. Apparently Sean and Sean's payment is due like the next day, and August and Dana's payment is due in 2 weeks. So they were like, well, we're sure that we think it's Otis because Otis works at both places. So yeah, it would seem that Otis is the one doing the blackmailing. The blackmailer told Sean and Sean that they were going to poison the grapes. And inevitably, that's what they did. They did not make their payment. Couple of nights later, their grapes were poisoned with the weed killer. Let's see. It ends up, Vanessa finds out what's going on, and then she just bosses up. Once she finds out that everything, she bosses up. She's telling them that there's not going to be any more secrets around here, and we're going to do what we need to do. And so the blackmailer says it's Otis. She's like, y'all got to have no more secrets, and y'all need to handle this. She tells that to Dana, and she tells that to August. There is a reporter from the Black magazine that wants to do an interview. And they're on camera doing the interview, and August and Dana are being August and Dana, and they're fussing back and forth with each other, and they're not spilling the tea, but the reporter can tell that there's something going on. So the reporter says, hey, I'm going to go and let's take a break. 5 minutes, I'm going to go outside. Well, the family starts fussing back and forth with each other. You're doing this, and you're doing that, and you're doing this, and you're doing that, and you're just talking back and forth. The reporter comes back in and she says, well, I'm finished. And then they realize that she left the camera on. They try to confront her about it, but honey, she tiptoed through the tulips out of that place. She said this belongs to her agency, and she was gone. And so the mother told them, y'all need to get this junk together because we sick of this. During this time, we find that the flashback was about Dana not getting the job. Apparently, Vanessa had some contacts, and she had him to work for this New York firm. I don't know if I've told you, but that first, when they were talking about this opening sequence with this job interview, they were talking like, oh, well, he went to Harvard, and he went to Wharton College of Business. Dana went to Wharton College of Business, and he will be great. But what she didn't tell him that he was a little person. And apparently, They were good about him, his accolades and him being black, because that was going to meet their affirmative action quota. But they didn't tell them that he was a little person, and they did not give him the job. And so that's how Dana came back to work for the company. Vanessa and Melanie had it out, and Melanie admits that she was jealous of Vanessa, and that Vanessa told her, Vanessa told Melanie that you've always been jealous of me, you've always been my shadow, you've always wanted what I wanted. And Melanie admits that yes, that she was jealous, but she was also trying to explain to Vanessa that she needs to be very wary about this blackmailer. And she says that Reginald was very wary about this blackmailer and what this blackmailer could do. And, Vanessa being Vanessa, and she's like, Melanie was telling her, she's like, Vanessa, go check his cigar boxes. She goes into the office, she checks this, Vanessa goes into the office and checks the cigar boxes, and she finds that the family, there's all this money in these cigar boxes. There are passports with their pictures, with different names. She shows this to August, and she realizes that, he was really fearful about what's going on with this blackmailer. And she's also upset because, Vanessa confided in Melanie and didn't confide into her. Vanessa outfits the vineyard with a high security detail and everything like that. And then she comes clean to Dana about what was going on and what was going on in her head at that time where she thought about aborting him. And she reassured him that that was a thought in her head. But once she saw the baby, she was like, no, she wasn't going to do this. Again, I told y'all earlier, around this time, they find out that Sean and Sean's vines are poisoned. And Dana tells August that that she needs to do something. She hesitates. Dana's like, no, because we're not finna have all these vines poisoned because you're hesitating. So he calls the police. Otis was confronted. Otis was trying to get away in the House of King's van, and he ended up wrecking it. And, as far as the family goes, they believe that Otis was guilty. August goes back, and she tries to talk to Bridget. She's trying to tell her, I'm going to bring you back, but, my mother is about to have a nervous breakdown. Really, she's not. But August just will not take she would not sit down as the president and bring her back. She has the power to do it, but she's not going to do it. And Bridget was telling her, look, you do what you got to do. I got me a job. I'm not worried about you. You do what you got to do. August and Kelvin, that's the lawyer, are at her home because apparently while he was there, he took a telephone call and she was feeling some kind of way because she found out earlier that him and his wife is still wearing the wedding ring and they're not currently divorced. And he receives a call and she's like, oh, well, you need to go. And he's like, well, I have a son and my son calls me and I'm going to take that call every time. So August is feeling some kind of way, but she's still in love with him, but she need to leave him alone because he's still married. And I think that wife is going to be something to pay. We find out that that Reginald liked Kelvin, and Kelvin going to college and doing all the things, he going to law school and all the things, Reginald paid for that. So we find all that information, and August decides that she's going to take it slow with Kelvin. So, again, I think in episode 2, we find out that that they picked grapes at night. And so while they were out there picking the grapes, Christian forgot something, some kind of schedule, some kind of list in the office. So he goes back to the office to get this list. And when he goes back in, he sees a book bag that he says belongs to Bridget. And so he's like, oh, Bridget left her book bag. And I don't know what possessed him to go through the book bag, but honey, he went through the book bag and found the cocaine. So I don't know if, but that just seems odd because why would Bridget been kicked out? Why would she come to the office and leave her book bag full of cocaine? But That's what he finds. He finds a bag full of cocaine. He believes that it is Bridget. And so we will be waiting on that answer on the next episode. So y'all tell me what y'all think about Kings of Nappa. It will be a watch-along video next week. On Tuesday. I'll do it on Tuesday and then publish it on Wednesday. But tell me what you think about Kings of Nappa. You know, it's my new show and I'm going to stick beside it. I am interested. I don't think Otis was the blackmailer. I honestly do not think Otis was the blackmailer. I think it's somebody else. Now, my view is going to be whoever left that cocaine. And I think that's going to happen, I think with that cocaine, I think there's going to be a raid of the winery and somebody's going to find that cocaine. Now, I'm telling you who I think. This is my prediction on who the blackmailer is. You remember the guy that runs the eatery where they love to eat? Well, we found out in either episode 2 or episode 3 that his father used to own the winery. He sold the winery to Reginald, and then he made the winery into this big deal. So I am wondering whether or not that he is the one that's doing the blackmailing. That's my first person who I think is doing the blackmailing. My second pick is Kelvin's wife. I think she is doing the blackmailing. But I'm tending to lean on my first suspect simply because this blackmailing has been going on for a very long time. And it's something about Reginald that this blackmailer knew. And so we're going to start finding out some new information about Reginald that we did not know. So I'm looking forward to that. See, that's what I like. I like a little mystery going on in all my little thing. You know, yeah, I like a little mystery. So we'll figure out who this blackmailer is. But I am pretty much sure that it is the white guy whose family used to own the winery. He wants the winery back. He can't afford it. And so I guess he figures I can have my restaurant and then blackmail them and make this extra money. So y'all tell me who y'all pick to think who is this person blackmailing the winery. And August and Dana have a payment due in a couple of weeks. So you think they're going to make this payment? You think they're going to find out who the blackmailer is before they make this second payment? Y'all let me know down in the comments. So, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up button just to let me know that you liked the video and let me know you watched it. And I've been checking the analytics. And I know y'all are out there. And I see that y'all are watching. So go ahead and press that subscribe button. It's free. It's not going to cost you anything. I'm still on my quest for 500 subscribers, so help me out. And if you've got a movie, television series, or a topic, because I do pop culture chat, and if you've got a topic that you want me to talk about, leave it down in the comments. And as always, people, bye-bye.